Hello, everyone. I'll give people a few seconds, minutes to join today's webinar. But while everyone is joining in, please feel free to say hello in the chat. Tell us where you're calling in from as you're joining. And we will get started shortly. All right. And then, as always, during today's session, we always love to hear your questions, your feedback, your comments. We love having you part of the conversation. We also will be sharing the recording for today after the webinar. And we always encourage you to use the chat box, but make sure that you are setting it to everyone so that all of the attendees, as well as the host and the panelists, can see. So at the bottom during chat or at the chat, you'll see that you can change it to everyone. So make sure that you have it set to everyone so we can all be a part of the conversation. And I will quickly hand it over to Ellie from marketing to share about some of our upcoming webinars and marketing events. So Ellie, I'll hand it over to you before we begin.
Thank you, Hallie. Hello, everyone. So yes, we have 3 upcoming webinars we are really excited about. First up, tomorrow, we are hosting SS28 Must-Have Colors. Join our global color experts, including Hallie, as they decode 3 of our 5 SS28 color shifts, spotlighting the hues set to define the season. Then on the 11th of March, we are hosting the Future of Home and Lifestyle, a 5-year forecast. Our home and lifestyle team will explore the key shifts shaping how homes are designed, lived in, and valued over the next 5 years. Then on the 24th of March, we are sharing Fall Winter 26-27 Women's Fashion Week Insights. A focused download of the standout directions from the latest fashion weeks. We'll unpack what's emerging across women's and accessories, from themes and colors to key items, material, graphics, and details. If you haven't registered yet, you can visit futuresnoops.com/events or click the resource button in your Zoom toolbar. But that's it from me. I'll hand it back to Hallie to kick off our March show and tell.
Thank you so much, Ellie. Let me stop sharing for a second. I will pull up our links for today and we'll jump into our amazing links with our amazing panelist. And I think we'll be kicking it off with Lisa, who will introduce herself for today.
Hi, so my name's Lisa McCandless. I'm the Director of Pattern and Graphics at FS. And I've got a few artists to share to start with. So if you want to click on the first one, Hallie, please. For this one, I think if you click on the second one, but it's a video, so if you can mute it, because I'll talk over it, please. Perfect. Okay, so this is Sarah Jarrett. She's a British artist based in Norfolk, and she is a collage artist, and she describes herself as endlessly curious, which I think all of us at FS would probably describe ourselves in a very similar way. A lot of her work looks at the human relationship with nature, most of which is portrait based, and all of her portraits tell these really gorgeous stories. They're kind of eccentric, bizarre, but they all have this really like underlying notion or kind of story revolved around nature. There's a little bit of sadness and emptiness, she describes at least, to her portraits, but there's this like fleeting feeling of that it's just makes for these really gorgeous pieces. And when asked what inspires her, I really enjoyed her answer, because she said many things inspire, some of which are quite bizarre, but especially my dreams, books, people's conversations, song lyrics, color. And then, she went to list the normal things such as travel and other artists. And I think just that openness to what inspires her just really, you can kind of see that with this like surrealist surrealist, but these emotionally driven pieces. And for me, I found them really hypnotic. You can just scroll through the rest of the Instagram, maybe, Hallie, just to see some other pieces as well. But I got a little bit addicted. Like I kept scrolling and wanting more. And every piece is just so insanely beautiful. And there's so many like layers to each piece. So every element, especially like her true portraiture work, like the portrait itself is like stunningly beautiful, but then all of like the birds or the trees or the painted elements on top of it, it's all done to such a gorgeous, obviously it's collage based, but everything just feels really just perfectly imperfect. And I just couldn't stop staring. And her use of color is really beautiful. And yeah, just a really gorgeous artist to kind of keep an eye out. And then the second artist I had to share is an American artist, Sydney Swisher. So she's based in Southern Illinois. So she paints oil directly onto fabric. And she describes her work as exploring the continuous rewriting and quiet unease of nostalgic images, reinterpreting our collective memory. So these paintings are intended to probe the evolving nature of a future filled with false images of the past. So they are an inquiry into how images remember for us and maybe what is lost in that exchange. And I think for obviously trend forecasters or just anyone that works in design, like we are constantly revisiting previous time periods or art movements or these expressions from like the noughties or the 80s, and we find such comfort in these time periods. But equally, we always look at them, we want to like question what's new, how to make it feel contemporary. And I just feel like that sentiment is like quite an intriguing one to question. Like we're kind of disrupting that what someone would have seen in the 70s to what we think is the 70s. So just, I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I just think it's like a really interesting conversation of um you know, bringing back a time period that was once we find such comfort in these previous design movements. And I also love here she uses a lot of like 3D elements. If you look at the first image, she actually has if you click along, you'll see that she includes actual beading in her work, like these pearls in her work. And she's got another piece where she has fabric hanging down as curtains and another floral piece that she's sewn floral lace. And it just adds to this really beautiful pieces. And I think as an artist in general, I think she kind of sits in this conversation we've been having internally about this appreciation for the true artist, like a real artist, an artist that you can tell have been very well practiced, very well rehearsed, kind of learnt their skill over a long period. And every single one of her pieces is this like real masterpiece. So another one to keep an eye out for.
This is so gorgeous. It feels
Isn't
like
it?
so cinematic because it is so like layered and
Yeah,
dimensional.
yeah.
Really
It's
cool.
even funnier, like some of her pictures, she's like holding the canvas, and it's even more jarring because it's like takes it out of the context.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good. And then the next one is Willow Stacey. So she's another artist, but a very different type of artist. She's British, and she says that she creates sweary embroidery. That's how she describes it, which I love. So she hand stitches directly onto um fabrics or pieces that are found around the house, such as like doilies, domestic like dusters, dishcloths, pillowcases. And the messages are titled Things Men Say. So she explores sexism in everyday life, focusing on comments that might have been spoken in jest or they're just having a laugh and didn't mean anything by it, but actually it could be very hurtful. And these words have really big meaning. And the artist reached out to hear from other women with what men have said to them. So she kind of is wanting to raise voices to a variety of different messages, but all of which might seem innocent, but really not with what the intention there is quite vulgar. But I think the juxtaposition of these brash sayings, but with like the almost childlike, especially with the color choice and the font style, like the handwritten style, against these brash messages is just it's very intriguing. Because first of all, when I looked at it, I was like, oh, it's another one of these like frilly, pretty, girly conversations. We've seen a lot of that. We've seen a lot of like the doll's house aesthetic, a lot of like bows and frills and flounce and lace is obviously dominating in design. We're still forecasting that. But equally here, it's coming through in a very different sentiment, albeit like kind of looks similar.
Mhm.
And then I take us to the runway. Um, and yeah, as mentioned at the beginning, we will be having a women's runway webinar. I think it's the 24th of March, that one, and we'll definitely do a deep dive more into like the themes and how they come through in all areas from like accessories and print and key items. But I wanted to mention one of my favorite designers from this season, maybe always. And they described this girl from this season, from the Autumn Winter 26-27, as learning Regency era slang and practicing her long game. So the elegance and cheekiness of the early 19th century is mixed with kitsch and tradition of golf-inspired collection. We're seeing argyles and knickerbockers, and it's all very British, from the tartans of the Highlands to the chokers of the London girls. And this brand, they're very conscious, they're a sustainable brand, and they are also pride themselves in their craft and trying to be very they work on different types of mediums or skill sets every season. And this particular season, they utilized dead stock materials from their fall 21 collection. They used camo from fall 24. They used plaids from fall 22. And they kind of merged old materials in to create a vision that feels really lovely and new. And it's a little bit punky, it's a little bit expressive, it's very fun. Again, it's one of those collections where you want to just sit and stare at each piece because there's so much going on. But yeah, loved it.
Yeah, the styling is just so good.
It is, it really is.
So much to look at.
And then my last one is Sylvie McMillan. So I don't have too much to say about this designer. I just wanted to share it because I was obsessed with it. So Sylvie McMillan, it's mainly like the top images, really, those like candelabras and yeah. Um, so she's a London-based craftswoman. She works on like she says it's a mosaic craft, but I wouldn't necessarily have called it that, but that's what she's claiming, so it is. But I've never seen anything like it. Like I think when she uses a lot of well, she uses shells, but she's always uses responsibly sourced natural materials. And when I, for one, think of shell art, shell candles, it's nothing this chic. It's like with a very cliche blue and white sentiment, whereas this to me just felt like really intense and gorgeous and yeah, really delicious and not like nothing I'd seen before. So not much else to add on that one. I just wanted to share it.
Yeah,
And I think that's all for me.
I love this. I also love that it makes like shells feel like more like fall wintery. Like I feel like I
Yeah,
also make it
exactly.
make me think of like obviously summer, but these feel
Mhm.
so like dark and elegant. So
Yeah,
gorgeous.
it's very in line with our last season, like spectacle, albeit not that
Yeah.
wasn't coastal, but it could still sit with this like real adornment, decorative, indulgent vibe.
Yeah, they're like almost spooky. So
Yeah.
cool. Wow. New favorite. All right. Thank you so much, Lisa. All right. Layla is up next.
Hi everyone. I'm Layla. I'm an analyst on the culture team here at FS. And as I was kind of going through some of the links that I wanted to share today, I kind of started seeing a pattern in the recent things that I've been collecting that have just been catching my eye. So have a little bit of a library theme for you guys today. But for my first link, I recently read about this new cafe by Luckin Coffee. I think this is the only location that's designed this way, but it recently opened in Shanghai and it's basically designed to look and feel like you're lingering around in a library. And as you can kind of see in the imagery here, it's got all this cozy seating. But the catch here is that there's no Wi-Fi or outlets. And honestly, when I read that initially, I was like, this sounds like the biggest inconvenience ever. But going off of some of the internal conversations we've had just about people going analog and also just wanting these third spaces to kind of disconnect and engage in better ways, I think this is kind of a really interesting way to support that. And I definitely wish this was a lot closer to me so that I could take a visit. But I wonder if this will help foster some better conversations and help people kind of look up a bit, or instead of kind of scrolling on your laptop, maybe you're looking through a book or something. But then for my next link, Um, I recently started following Ashley Williams like within the last 6 months or so, and I just really appreciate her representations of girlhood and femininity. But I recently saw that they launched a collab with Starface, which is like the pimple patch brand. And in a kind of unexpected turn, they held the launch party for the product in Climax Books. And if you're not familiar with them, they sell these rare books that are kind of hard to come by, and they've also blown up for their merch recently too. And I'm a really big fan of them just because I feel like they really invite people to come in and research without the pressure to necessarily buy something. And I really just love the idea of a party doubling as a chance to like research and explore. And then in the context of Valentine's Day, I love this exploration doubling as an expression of love. I think so often we see this kind of expressed or self-care kind of expressed in like the wellness and beauty space, but I feel like maybe researching your personal interest has a way to kind of emerge as the next labor of love for oneself. But I thought this was super cool, and all the like images that I've seen from it are so aesthetically pleasing and fun. So really liked seeing that. And
Yeah,
then my
such,
last link.
I was gonna say like that's such a good collab between like all three of them, like Starface, Ashley Williams, and Climax Books. It's like the perfect alchemy.
I know, and it's like I wouldn't expect it on the surface initially, but it all just makes sense and comes together in the end. But the last link that I have here is actually a website from this creator that I've followed on like TikTok and Instagram for a while. Her name is Gabriella. And she launched this back in January, but it's essentially this like living library of media she's consumed that she's calling her Weekly Wonder. And it actually started initially as like a YouTube series that she was doing, but of course was just like in video form. But she basically just kind of spotlights anything that's been resonating with her recently and then features a small little blurb about why she decided to include it. So honestly, kind of like her own show and tell in a way. But I really am obsessed with the layout of the website. I love how it feels kind of early internet-esque. Um, and I was actually sharing with members of the team that one of my resolutions this year is to like consume a little more consciously. So I feel like I really gravitate toward this form of sharing rather than like my favorite products of the month. I feel like that's such a rabbit hole for me where it's like it's gonna automatically result in me wanting to buy something. So I feel like this is a really refreshing shift. And if you click on like the tools tab there, she also has like this cross stitch generator in here, and there's like also a C, I don't know how you pronounce it, but a C art, I think it is. Where you can kind of make this like digital picture art. So I feel like it's really fun or feels like a library in the way of like you're not just coming to consume, but you can also like get creative and play around and like there's unique tools in there as well. So yeah, all the way around just really cool to me. And I hope that more creators get into this instead of their favorite things they've been buying for the month. But yeah, that's all for me.
Yeah, I really love this. I'm gonna play around with this also, so thank you. Amazing. All right, Jane.
Hi, so I'm Jane. I'm the kid strategist. If you want to go ahead and click on the first link right there, this is a Fruit of the Loom bagged athletic formal suit. Fruit of the Loom teamed up with Keiji Kaneko to make a double-breasted suit out of t-shirt fabric, and it's sold basically in the same way as they sell their like 3 packs of t-shirts and everything. So it's fully cotton and it's washable. It was a Japan exclusive and completely sold out like immediately, of course. It's made of 12-ounce cotton, which means it can be worn, as they say, on a night out or to bed, which is a very interesting concept to me as well. You can really just come in from the bar, go straight to sleep, I guess. And they deconstructed a vintage jacket to create the master pattern for this, and it just has a really cool kind of oversized baggy silhouette to it. And just the like extra accessibility of it. Just pick up a bag of a suit when you need one is very cool.
Mhm. I love it.
Yeah. And then the next thing is Gap. They collaborated with 5 young designers from Harlem's Fashion Row to rework some different Gap denim items. And there's just a lot of really interesting surface design and silhouettes throughout it. And these more available elevated denim looks at these like kind of accessible retailers has a similar concept to the Fruit of the Looms bag suit. But yeah, so there's some really nice items in there, especially like for how simple sometimes Gap can be. It's just a nice, like, deeper look at their denim items. And then last, the designer Avav Vav, I guess is how you say it, sent guests down the runway to a room full of models as the audience members. The guests didn't know what to expect as they entered the room and found themselves at the top of a runway. It's definitely a very interesting concept, and I've been enjoying a lot of shows that have like from a tiny bit to fully informed by performance art and kind of changing the point of view for displaying a collection very similar to how Valentino had the windows that lead into the rooms of models. So it would definitely be very strange and unnerving to be caught between kind of viewing a collection and feeling like you need to give a performance yourself. But as far as I'm aware, there's not really any rules for it. So as long as you could stand all the eyes on you, you can kind of take as long as you like to look at the pieces. And I also feel like it's a bit of commentary on are you at a runway show to see or be seen, as well as like how many influencers and celebrities fill runway shows these days, as opposed to people directly involved in the industry. So I feel like it's a bit uh, of a commentary on that. So I found that very interesting and also just such a cool presentation, having everyone kind of staring at you as you walk in and see everything like set out in front of you.
No, this is so cool. I haven't seen this yet. Just like their faces, also like the reactions of when you're just like,
Yeah, everyone's still like taken aback the moment they walk in.
yeah.
I
But
feel like
it's
I would like strut down, commit to it, pose, and then on the way back, slowly like look at everything and take my time.
yeah, it is really interesting. So I feel like, yeah, the front row has become like a different fashion show in itself because they are just being dressed like to
Mhm.
also be seen. So yeah, really interesting. I love that. All right, thank you, Jane. And we'll kick it over to Mallory now.
Hi everyone, I'm Mallory. I'm the director of Beauty and Wellness. If you can just wait a second, Hallie, before clicking on any of these links, because most of them are videos, so I'll just like
Yeah.
intro them, and then we can head right in and turn the sound on for all of them when you do. Okay, starting off with a really fun one for beauty. So the Lipstick Lesbians, who, if you are not familiar with, they are makeup and well, beauty influencers who have been doing a lot of great work kind of exposing and educating about how the beauty industry actually works to your average consumer, like going into detail about how things are formulated, why certain formulas don't work, why certain brands make certain business decisions, really just like decoding the nitty-gritty of this industry for the interested consumer. We know that they want to know, and so influencers like them are really stepping up to the plate to kind of make this information common knowledge. But what's really exciting right now is that they are launching their own brand and they're doing it in such a unique way. And actually, the video is, I mean, pretty much says anything I could possibly say. So if we can just go to that first link and watch the video, and then we can come back and talk about it after.
Because the beauty industry is broken. When you hear an influencer say go back to the lab, well, brands don't have labs. Not all of them.
As someone who's not in the beauty industry, I had no idea that brands actually, for the most part, don't have their own labs and that they shop products that are presented to them by manufacturers.
Not getting a product that is as innovative as what the suppliers and the manufacturers are creating. Multi-dimensional.
Oh, wow.
You're getting something safer, more commercially friendly. We did a whole entire year of Christina getting exposed to the industry best trade shows, and she met all these products for the first time.
Got to see all of these innovations that would never launch. And I said to her, what happens to all of these products that never launch?
This is like a biphase eyeshadow. Exactly.
And then she's like, well, they go in kind of like this graveyard. I said, so consumers will never get the ability to touch them or see how cool they are? And then she said, no, they won't. Before becoming an accidental beauty influencer with my wife Alexis, who is a brilliant product developer and beauty lover, I also got my PhD in education technology. So for years, I studied how people best learn on digital technologies. And I translated everything I knew and I applied it to my wife. And who knew that in this world, it's really called marketing.
Have the Lipstick Lesbians done a video on this?
The Lipstick Lesbians.
The Lipstick Lesbians.
The Lipstick Lesbians are here in the flesh.
The Lipstick Lesbians popularized people turning around their packaging and saying, oh my God, this is made in Italy. Oh my God, this is made in the USA. Oh my God, this is made in Korea.
The answer kind of came to us, really, through Christina.
They would sell the fuck out.
I want you to write this down.
She won't.
I'm serious. So I'm like, Alexis, I think I have a great idea.
She was screaming, actually.
We should launch all of the products that we see at the trade shows that brands are too scared to launch.
I said, nobody's gonna go for that. This isn't how the beauty industry works. That's like the opposite of how things work. Never before has a brand existed that is leaking innovation from all the labs in the world and bringing it to you for your feedback to then decide whether or not it gets to stay in permanent collection.
Beauty Queens, we're on our way to go see a cosmetic manufacturer. We're about to pitch them our concept.
Left makeup in Paris
actually,
1 year ago.
Makeup in Paris. I think that pretty much gives the whole intro to the brand. So what they're going to do, and of course, being in this industry, I take it for granted that at trade shows you get to try all these amazing formulations and really cool products that sometimes make it to market, but sometimes don't. So their whole strategy is they're going to take these, unique, innovative formulas and product concepts, let consumers try them out, and basically what consumers resonate with, the manufacturers and brands will then bring to the market on a larger scale. It's super cool. I think when we share the links, definitely at home, click on the second link or just go to their Instagram page, because the first product that they're launching with is this like flexi powder. It's really cool. It's like a flexible powder, like lasagna sheet. Yeah, you can just click it up for like a second and then you can see the product. It's really interesting. That isn't that cool? So it's going to be super cool. I'm super excited. I love them. So really excited to see how this venture plays out. And just it's an interesting concept that's never been done before.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Yeah, we might all be wearing flexi powder in the future. Okay, so for the second one, this is going to be a YouTube short, but just to give a sort of base for what this is. Olive Young, huge K-beauty Korean beauty retailer. They've been building out their wellness assortment for quite some time. It's had like a niche area within their stores, but now they're really going all in on wellness as a standalone concept, and they've just launched their first Olive Better wellness only store. And if you just click on this, it's a pretty good review of like what products they have, just a little digital walk through the aisles.
Guys, I think this might be the new It store now. This is Olive Better by Olive Young. You will find everything wellness and health related, from vitamins, tea, protein shakes, fun snacks, and more. And this is how they have divided the sections in the store. The Nourish Well section carries vitamins and probiotics. The Eat Well has all the delicious healthy snacks. And there's even a Relax Well section with like pillow sprays and super cute PJs. And there's a few more sections too. I loved checking out the essential oils and the home stuff too, of course. They even had some skincare and hair products along with oral care. I love seeing all the different immunity shots and sticks that you can intake. This one was with olive oil and all the ranges of apple cider vinegar. They also had a section highlighting Osalak, and you can test out some of the flavors. I tried their Jeju matcha milk tea and it was so good. This place recently just opened, so it was pretty packed when I went, but you can also check out products on their app through the Olive Young Korean site. Some of these products are available at offline stores, but they just had so many more options here and products I've never seen before. I really wanted to get a pillow mist and some snacks and of course the PJs, but I did stop myself this time, and also because the line was super long. Let me know what you guys think of this place and if you would visit, and if you want to see more from Olive Better. Guys, I think this might be the new
So who doesn't want to go get some like ginger shots and some fun health popcorn and some PJs, right?
like,
Um,
I'm dying to go back.
I know. I'm like, it's only in Korea right now. We don't even have, I mean, the US is going to get its first Olive Young beauty store this year, supposedly. They're also doing a exclusive partnership with Sephora. So we are going to be getting some of the beauty, but like I love that so many retailers are building out wellness as a standalone concept. We've seen a lot of retailers experiment with it. obviously just off the heels of Future of Wellness, definitely feeling the well-being vibes. So really interested to see whether this is a success for Olive Young and whether, Olive Better standalone stores are going to start being the new norm in Seoul. And then the last one, was chatting with a few team members about this the other day. If you're not familiar, FX/Hulu has launched a new series by Ryan Murphy, Love Story, John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette. It's, a dramatic, story about, the famous couple who tragically died, the late 90s. And, it's caused a lot of aesthetic obsession, especially on TikTok among Gen Z. And there's just been this rise of interest in Carolyn Bessette's iconic style. And I mean, it's funny because just growing up, in that era, I was definitely very aware of them as a couple, and just like she was as kind of iconic as this fashion icon, like Princess Diana, and many other celebrities of the time. And it's just interesting to see why she's becoming popular again. But it's raising some interesting conversations, especially in terms of, trying to claim ownership over her style. Again, this is someone who, passed away tragically. And so it's interesting to see, a new generation discover her, but also in a sort of a copycat way. Anyway, the link that says analysis this succinctly says everything I could try and say about this subject. So we can just watch this and come back afterwards to wrap it up.
None.
Understand the irony in all of this, and that is that you can't replicate authenticity by recreating it. Her style was authentic to her, it was authentic to her occupation, it was authentic to the time she was living in, the lifestyle that she was living. And this sort of copy culture completely defeats the purpose of having authentic style. Respectfully, none of you are Carolyn Bessette's because you are trying to be Carolyn Bessette's. John Kennedy Jr. didn't choose Carolyn Bessette because there were a million other Carolyn Bessette's. You catch the drift here. Now, with all that being said, you can't engage in fashion without inspiration. That's just completely unavoidable. Meaning there will always be people that inspire you, people that you like their clothes, eras that inspire you, movies that inspire you, whatever. And all of that should kind of come together as a collective and create individual style. But replicating one person's style, that's not style. On the flip side, as someone that went to fashion school, I'm very happy that we're talking about 90s American fashion and Calvin Klein, the classic styles from that era and all of it. But where I think Gen Z really needs to get a grip is with this sort of copy culture. Additionally, it gets a little bit snobby, I've been noticing, which I think is also kind of ironic. You don't have ownership over this style because it's not yours. I've seen, obviously a lot of people are coming on here and like recreating her looks, which I think is cool, whatever. I do think it's weird and ironic to try and create her entire wardrobe and start dressing like that. But I saw recently a woman that was curvier and she had, sort of baggier jeans on and like a v-neck and a headband. She looked adorable. The comments made me really angry. And I can't believe that we still live in a time where women are insulting one another about their appearance and about their bodies and about the things that they put on their backs. I opened the comment section and like the first comment I see is not Carolyn Bessette Kennedy, more like America Ferrera, which was obviously a backhanded compliment. And the rest of these comments were like, it worked for her because she was tall and skinny. You're not tall and skinny, don't even try. Meanwhile, this woman pulled this off better than some tall and skinny women have on this app. The pieces she put together worked, it made sense for the inspiration, everything fit her really nicely, it looked really pulled together. She got the whole vibe across when I've seen a lot of people with the right body type that have not gotten the whole vibe across. But you can't be territorial over a style you don't own. You can't sit there and say, well, you don't have the right body type. It's not yours. It's somebody's that isn't even here to defend it. I came across another video about, like, it was like a Calvin Klein skirt, and it was like, go out and buy this because Carolyn Bessette had this. I don't think she actually did have it. But there was a comment that was like, Carolyn Bessette would never wear Calvin Klein. Probably all she wore was Calvin Klein. That's who she worked for. I just think it's ironic that a lot of people are feeling like territorial over her style, also without knowing much about it. Moral of the story, you don't acquire Carolyn Bessette authenticity by trying to replicate Carolyn Bessette, or replicate anybody for that matter. Very, very interesting what this series is bringing out, though, I have to say. Let me know what you guys think about this. I don't think that the people rushing.
Anyway, yeah, I feel like that really succinctly said a lot of kind of what I've been discussing with friends who are watching the show and seeing the kind of obsession over her style. I mean, the op-eds are endless right now, like so many listicles, where to buy her headbands. Seal Bigelow's like lines out the door to buy the headbands, and what shade of lipstick did she wear, how to get Bissette blonde, how to recreate her style, and just on TikTok, it's going crazy. And of course, there's nothing wrong with wanting to have a fun moment of taking inspiration from an icon of style, but it's interesting how there's just this immediate reactive instinct to like recreate, like copy paste the whole look. But anyway, so hope you're all watching it, and looking forward to the next episode. But that's it from me.
Yeah, mic drop, nothing else to say to that. All right, and next we'll kick it over to Blake.
Hello, everyone. I'm Blake. I am a strategist on the home and lifestyle team. If you click on the first link, I recently went to the KBIS trade show in Orlando, the Kitchen and Bath Show, and I was just kind of blown away by all of the AI and kind of tech integration into the kitchen and bath space, specifically with refrigerators and ovens with AI tech components. If you go to the next link, kind of gives kind of a close-up view of the new refrigerators, but they are becoming so advanced now that they have cameras kind of built in to the refrigerators that can assess what groceries and ingredients you have, and then find recipes that you can make based off of the ingredients that you have. There's also apps that connect to them. So when you're at the grocery store, if you don't know what you have in your fridge or what you're missing, you can connect back and see what groceries you have. So they're really kind of advancing how you use your refrigerator as a tool in the home, which I think is pretty interesting. So there's all these kind of cooking assistants, AI tech that's being built into them, paired with kind of oven compatibility. So I'm kind of intrigued to see how this kind of technology evolves in the future. And then if you go into the next link, moving on from the kitchen and then into the bath space, this is kind of like the first. Oh,
I'm
sorry.
saying, somebody tell me that I forget green onions every time I shop, and I require it for every recipe, and I forget it every single time. So I just
I
need
know.
someone to remind me that specifically.
Yeah, it's like genius. It's like, wow, you don't even have to write a grocery list anymore. Your fridge can basically tell you what to get. That also reminds me of another component I saw there. Some of them have scanners, barcode scanners built into the fridges. So if you run out of an ingredient, you finish it, you really like it, you want to buy it again, you can scan it, and then it curates a grocery list and puts it on a list for you, so you don't forget it. So really cool things with tech within that space. And then this is kind of like the first of its kind. Kohler Health just released this device. That attaches actually to your toilet, and it manages kind of health insights based on hydration, gut health, bowel movements. And if you hit shop now, I think it gives more kind of details, but I think this is kind of really intriguing to see how health and wellness is going to evolve in the future. It's been, research for 10 plus years. So many scientists are backing this, and it connects to an app that you can manage your hydration and see if your gut is healthy. And I think it's kind of definitely new and exciting to see how the home space and kitchen, but and bath particular, can kind of advance health and wellness. So yeah, that's kind of a little snapshot of what I thought was cool and exciting at KBIS. And yeah, I'm excited to see how this kind of category evolves.
Thank you, Blake. All right, and then I'll wrap up today's session. For my first link, so this one I added, I kind of ended up putting it here because I had a conversation this weekend actually with my roommate's mom who was in town, and she was kind of asking about my job, and she'd never heard of this job, and she was so interested in it. And she obviously, we have complex jobs and it's a lot more than this, but what she said I thought was really interesting. And she was like, oh, wow, that sounds really amazing. You must get to look at a lot of beautiful things all the time. And while obviously we know that's true and understand that a lot more goes into our jobs, it really allowed me to step back, and I was kind of like, yeah, like I do get to look at beautiful things. So I ended up putting this back on show and tell because it is really simple and it's just one single object, but it is so beautiful that I wanted to put it on here. So it's an incense holder by this designer, Alberto Assessi, and it's just a metal cube. But I just had a lot of appreciation and gratitude for not only like our jobs and the idea that we get to like look at all of these beautiful things, but also just for this simple object. And I also just loved his philosophy as a designer, that his whole idea of designing things that were connecting sentience to matter. So I love just how the idea of this cube, and when you put the incense in it, that this like the incense becomes this fleeting element as it burns. And I don't know, just something about the idea of that conversation and our jobs is just this good reminder of the gratitude of beauty and the simplicity. So I ended up just putting it back in here of a really simple and beautiful piece of design that I wanted to share. So just also really loved this item. And then my next link, this kind of stems from a conversation we also had briefly with the culture team. I think it was something that Layla actually shared from Kai Sennett. But I wanted to share his fashion journal. So this is a streamer. He's an online personality. He recently shared about his journey where he's been reading 20 minutes a day online because he wanted to kind of get better at speaking. But now he's actually started sharing his own personal fashion journal, kind of documenting his journey in learning about clothing and learning how to make clothing. I think he's kind of starting his own personal clothing line. But in this journal, he's keeping this meticulous log of how garments are made. He's keeping these detailed notes, handwritten notes of the process, keeping these Polaroids and documenting his findings. And then he's scanning all of these pages and uploading them to his own personal website and sharing it with his audience. And his audience is a lot of younger, mostly men. And I just think it's really interesting. And I really appreciate how he's being transparent and open about learning something new and kind of being really vulnerable about that. And also just this idea that he is kind of learning something new and being really interested in learning, which I think unfortunately is really rare these days. But I'm just obsessed with this openness and kind of just the way he's documenting it, and also the idea that he's doing it in such an analog way. Obviously, he's digitizing it and putting it up on his website, but I just think it's a really cool way to show kind of the insider information of how he's doing it. And I just really, I just really love and appreciate the process. I think also his website looks really cool. I haven't gone totally into it with that official, but I think it's a really cool way. It just feels really young. I'm obviously not his target audience for it, but I just, have a lot of appreciation for it, and thought it was just a really nice, way to be vulnerable, especially for young men in this day and age. And then my last very quick link, because it is Color Week, I wanted to share a fun color game. So this is kind of just a really fun mind game, a color memory game. I am actually gonna, I guess we're kind of light on time, but I don't want to play it because I will say it's a lot harder on the like monitor than it is on my phone, but I'll kind of show you what it's like as you play. It like flashes a color on the screen, and then you have like 5 seconds to remember it, and then you have to like scale and show, like you have to basically like remember the color on here, and then you kind of like see how close you can get to it. And yeah, I don't want to be super vulnerable, but that would sound a bad score. Anyways, a fun like little game that you can play on your own time because it is Color Week, and it also just keeps our memory fresh as we are in this business. But since we're at time, you can do that on your own, at your own leisure. You will get all of these links and the recording of this webinar, but just wanted to thank all of the amazing panelists and all of you for joining us today, and hope you all have a good rest of your day and evening, and thank you so much. All right. Bye, everyone.